Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, May 21st, 2024. Before I ask for the approval of the agenda, I will need to amend the agenda for the council to go into closed session for the purpose of consulting with the attorney. So we'll add that to the beginning of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I make a motion we adopt the agenda as amended.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments? Motion approved. Oh, all in favor? I'm sorry. All in favor? Is that 4-1?
Yep.
I feel like this needs to be at the end and not the beginning.
4-1 in the. Okay, so I guess we'll move next door.
Yes, please.
welcome to them.
We need to amend the agenda.
Make a motion
Go ahead.
to amend the agenda to remove the closed session minutes for this evening.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to schedule a work session for May 30th, please, at 6 p.m.
To have a work session, May 30th, 6 p.m.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you.
Mayor, you didn't ask for opposed.
I
Oh,
didn't.
Do you need?
He didn't ask if anyone was opposed because I only had 4 hands up.
anyone opposed?
Oh,
Motion passes 4-1. Proposed budget, FY25 and training. Manager Moore?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. Tonight represents the last scheduled presentation that the staff has for board consideration. And so we're going to put before you the proposed travel and training budget for the governing board.
can we please include all of the boards, all of the different departments? I'll just be asking about them, so.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
So what the outline for tonight's presentation is to give outline of, or the basic of what the budget is that's being put before the board for their consideration. We're looking for board feedback on the budget. As we did with the strategic plan, we fully expect that you will give us some feedback on procedures and policy, although you don't need to make a decision on that tonight. As you'll see with the budgeted amount, that will be something that you should consider in the future. As far as the budget itself, the budget has been increased from what was in the FY24 budget. So in FY24 budget, what we proposed before you was $20,000. That's been increased to $32,500. The basis for that budget is we're assuming that you'll need $2,500 to train a clerk, depending upon their certification and credentials. There's $4,000 in there reserved for dues and events. So examples of that, you've joined the North Carolina Black elected municipal officers, as well as women in municipal government. Events, examples of that, you are largely associated with the Wake Mayors Association. And so you've got events where you sponsor. An example of that is the annual mayor's outing, Wake Mayor's outing at 5 County Stadium. So those are examples of dues and events. What we broke down and just put before you for consideration is of the remainder amount, $6,000 for the mayor and $4,000 for each commissioner. Depending upon how much travel and training you are interested in or you are required to do, depending upon if you are a member of a national organization, for example, those budget amounts may not be enough, and so I'll give you the breakdown for that. So as an example, if you were to attend a national conference, we're expecting that that's going to be a minimum of $2,800 by the time you consider the cost of the conference, given that these national conferences, more often than not, almost exclusively are out of state, so there would be airfare and, of course, hotel. Your state conferences are running around $1,500, so a City Vision as an example, and that includes a minimum cost for the conference and the hotel. And then the continuing education, depending upon the number that you sign up for, we've put in front of you as far as a sliding scale. So 350 is what the going rate is for the essentials of local government, at least 4 of you. have been involved in the Pella program, and that runs as high as $875. So depending upon how much and what type of continuing education, that can be the basis for that. So when you go back to what we've included in the budget, $6,000, assuming for the mayor, $4,000 for each commissioner. If you did the top level of the continuing education, you did a state conference and you did a national conference, that would exceed what's in the budget. So some conversations, I think, from a policy standpoint, are before you later down the road about how you divide that. Do you want to guarantee that everybody goes to a national conference, as an example, or do you limit that to someone who is on a committee? The thing to talk about that's most relevant tonight is how much to budget, based upon what your requirements are as well as your interests. So with that, we'll take any feedback that the board may have.
Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Harrison? Commissioner Clark?
No.
Commissioner Davis?
No, not at this time.
Commissioner Miles?
Not at this moment.
Commissioner Baxter?
I'm fine with that, knowing that at some point there might need to be a budget adjustment if there are additional expenses that arrive, although I think that this is probably what we should expect. When we take a look at what the amended budget was for FY24.
Mayor, that concludes our formal presentation for tonight. We remain available if the board members have any other questions regarding the FY25 budget in advance of their public hearing scheduled for June 3rd.
Yes. So the admin department has a training budget of $42,300, and I'm not sure what exactly the thoughts are, because the admin department is a little bit smaller, what kind of training that's going to entail, what that makes up. So if I could have some direction with that, please.
Sure. The admin budget for travel and training also includes training for the entire staff within the town when we are assigning, whether it's discrimination, DEI, all of those kinds of trainings come out of that budget. It does not come out of individual department budgets. We also have the ability to send supervisors for training. I budget for that so that when individuals are promoted, they're given the opportunity to go to supervisory training, especially if they've never been a supervisor before. Some of that's through the School of Government, some's through some other locations as well. It also includes training for communications. It includes training for the HR staff as well as the town manager. It also had training for the IT director and conferences.
We have Chris Ray. You've got two different travel and training.
Mic check, please.
I'm so sorry.
Mic check.
Is it really not working?
No, you can't read. Trying to say you can't read.
So there's two different travel and training pots, and I think that I might understand it, but I'd rather have your explanation, because there's one for 18,000 and there's one for just under 25. Is one of those to do with the stormwater?
No, ma'am. We have two departments. First of all, we have the property management division, and then we also have the operations division. So basically what we do is that department supervisors within the department get budgeted $1,000 a year for their travel and training. Regular employees get $750. What you see is a little bit larger number because the last year we had to start CDL training could not be done in-house. So I have to go outside to a commercial vendor to get
For
my guys
CDL?
commercial driver's license.
Yeah, okay.
For our guys to drive a large truck over 26,000 pounds. So the last couple of years, we have been, well, this past year was the first year, and this next coming year will be the second year, where we can take our guys, if they don't have class CDL license, get them a CDL license to drive our truck, and it also is a part of our career ladder program. As our guys become supervisors and crew leaders, they have to have a Class A, which a Class A means they can pull a trailer with a gross vehicle weight of 26,000 pounds or greater. So.
And then is the engineering department, that's you too this year as
At
well,
this time,
right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that's how I was reading that, and if I was reading it correctly, I don't have any issue with the $2,000 for that. Thank you so much for the
Yes, ma'am.
clarification.
I don't know if we had discussed or about doing something for our appointed boards, some type of appreciations.
There's money
But there's money
budgeted.
allocated for that, sir.
It's money?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know we had talked about maybe having a family night or something for them at the Mudcat Stadium.
Lisa, as you've been the one historically to have coordinated that, I know that we have the use of the suites. And do you know what the associated cost is for hot dogs and sodas? I know a soda now is like $450 each, so I have to imagine it's going to be rather pricey.
In the past, when we have done this, we have done, individual boards have gone separately, so that they can, there's not enough space to do all the boards at the same time.
Correct.
So I want to say it has been around $700 in the past for food, but it's probably been 4 years since we've done it. So I don't know what the cost would be, but I don't know that it would be a whole lot more than that, depending on what you have for food.
So if we've got 3 appointed boards and we allocated $850, we could probably make it work for that.
We could come close, for sure. I can check into it tomorrow, and I can get a price
For the next work session, could you do that? Okay, awesome.
the May or June?
May.
Okay.
May, please, for the May 30th.
700.
I said 850, but she's going to find out what it might realistically cost. And then I'm assuming, like we had discussed this before, and I think that I have seen some of the departments utilize the suites and the tickets this year, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just want to make sure that each department is able to take advantage of that should they want to. I think that there's plenty of homestands in order for us to do that, yeah?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because depending on the departments and how it's done, we only get 1 suite per homestand.
Right.
So, I'm not sure that there would be sufficient time to do it for the rest of the year. There may be, I don't know about the homestands, I don't have a calendar
Okay.
in front of me of what it is. But, we do have tickets available if they wanted to take some of their staff and that kind of thing, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board.
I have a question under page 43. It looks like we are budgeting $20,000, and it says National Register Historic District. Are we being charged a fee by SHPO or by someone to partake in the historic district or have that designation? Or is that just for our building that is designated?
No, that's actually going to be part of a study to evaluate the expansion of the National Historic District to include the Barbie Street corridor and possible additional landmark buildings along Shepherd School Road.
How many landmark buildings would that cover?
It's still going to be determined. There has to be an evaluation done before we can actually submit the proposal to State Historic Preservation Office. Each of those buildings will be evaluated on an individual basis.
So that's a study for Barbie Street, Shepherd School, just those two locations or any additional?
Just those two locations for that amount.
Okay, all right. And is that going to include any subsequent application fees if we choose to move forward with that? Or that's just solely for the study cost?
If we isolate just for the Barbie Street corridor, that has the potential to be both the application cost as well as the study. However, there's been some discussion about expanding it up to the Shepherd School area. And if that's the case, then it'd be just for the study.
Okay.
Got one question.
Commissioner Miles?
So once the study is completed, what will that information will work with along with current preservation in Zebulon, and then
I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone? I can't hear you.
once the study is complete, what will we utilize the information for to work with current preservation in Zebulon to come together with that, or how would that work?
We work with Wake County Historic Preservation to move forward with
Okay,
that.
Wake County, gotcha.
Yeah, and I hopefully will work with Preservation Zebulon, but it'd be in collaboration with Wake County Historic Preservation because it would not only be a national, but it would be a local landmark as well.
Thank you.
And when we talk about the Main Street Conference and training requirements, and that has a $10,000 price tag, is that just going to the North Carolina Main Street program, or is that also include travel to the National Main Street program?
That's just North Carolina.
And so who would that all entail?
That would include our Main Street Board, as well as, let me get back to that line. I believe we have a separate line item to send our Main Street coordinator, but that's primarily for our Main Street Board to attend.
Okay, and so we've discussed in the past that as this Main Street program kicks off, they're going to be shouldering more of the costs of this program and their attendance at these events. Do we have a timeline as far as when we're going to be transitioning some of those costs back onto the board? I realize that they haven't done a whole lot of fundraising as of yet, but is there a plan? Do we have like a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan?
That hasn't been discussed as of yet.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
I think that I'd like to understand what the Main Street promotions line item is. Sorry, Mike.
What page? Still on
It's still on page 43. Is this tying into some of the events that we do downtown, or is this something different? Is this like an educational campaign?
Yeah, that does include some of the events in downtown, the marketing materials, as well as assisting with some of the stuff that the Parks and Recreation Department does in terms of those activities. That's not exclusively for Main Street,
Okay.
but it's for activities and events within the Main Street boundaries.
Okay. We've had a lot of interest in making sure that we do some kind of parade around the Christmas and winter holidays. And so would that hit the downtown Main Street line item, or where would that need to be added?
That's going to depend upon who's the organizing agency. Historically, that's been the Chamber of Commerce that's taken that on, but that is going to be a multidisciplinary event that's going to go well beyond just the Main Street Board.
Okay, and so we need to perhaps get some kind of idea, and maybe that's a question that can be asked of John Saffold and the players that we had in past years as far as what the cost of that event is, because I suspect that the chamber is not going to assist us this year. And so just to have an idea of what that might look like for us, so that we make sure that we put something into the budget, and then it would be upon us to get some committees and some support from the community if we're going to continue going down that path. But I'd like to have an idea of what that might cost us. And that would be something that I'm sure Public Works and the police department and the fire department all would have to weigh in on.
What role did our Park and Rec play in? I think our Park and Rec played a role in that as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
You said that? Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
I think I did that part.
So an estimate cost of possible parade,
Yes.
Correct.
when do we want that? Next work session?
Yeah, if that's possible, that would be wonderful, because that's the time for us to explore that before we get to the public hearing on the 3rd. Does that sound good to the rest of the board?
Yes.
Okay.
That may be a challenge for me to get that number. I'm going to be gone to a funeral for the remainder of this week.
And that is okay. I'm not asking the planning department to shoulder that.
Okay.
Certainly, I know that you have great members of staff that maybe could help track down that number. That doesn't have to be shouldered by you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to circle back one more time before we stop talking about travel and training, I think that I understood that, like, BMO applications and WIMAGE applications, all of that's been rolled into the different, okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Hearing none? Is there a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn?
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Meeting adjourned.